Hi, hello, and welcome to my channel. I'm pretty excited because today we are going to be putting together our April TBR, and we're going to be switching it up from the typical TBR jar system. I love doing the TBR jar videos. They're some of my favorite videos to do, but I've been doing them for quite some time now, like months and months and months. So I just kind of want to like do something a little different this month. And also too, April is my birthday month, so what better way to start the month than opening up some book presents. Of course, these aren't actually book presents. I would love them to be all new books. These are actually some of the oldest books on my TBR, aka the ones I got like early last year. I did a whole video of wrapping these books up, and I went into this project having the intention of reading a few of these every single month. And we are now again going into April, and I have not touched these books. I have barely looked at them, and that's another really big reason why I wanted to kind of switch it up this month. Anyway, I feel like this has been the longest intro on the planet. Let's get into picking our April TBR blindly. And the way I'm going to be doing this is essentially I have numbered all of the books, as you can see, and I have put corresponding numbers into this little jar. And I'm going to go ahead and come closer so you can actually see me pick the number. So let's do our first one, which is going to be 22. So number 22 is this one. It's a hardcover. It's kind of funny because when I originally wrapped these books, I numbered them because I assumed that I was going to know what books were what depending on their size and things like that. But now that a few months have passed by, I have absolutely no idea what's in any of these except for 15. This one is very distinctively humongous, so I know exactly what book that one is. Anyway, we have number 22. This is going to be the cover, so you're going to see it before I do. Oh, I'm so excited. What is this? I literally have no idea. I'm trying to guess what it is, but I have no idea. Oh no. Literally the only thing I've been reading for the past 3 weeks at least has been nothing but spicy and dark romances. I'm literally in the middle of Haunting Adeline right now, so I'm just not ready for something like this. Like, that's quite the jump. I feel like this is kind of like a historical fiction type of vibe, and those are always books that I'm always very nervous to get into, but a lot of people do really like this. And there are some quotes on the front of the cover that say, "A novel that sparks joy with every page. I am devastated to have finished it. Vibrant and original and compelling, satisfying, a real page turner." So, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be good. Also too, speaking of the cover, this is the UK version, and I'm obsessed with the way this looks. I love it so much more than the US one. Also too, I read somewhere that the author of this book prefers the UK version because she says the US one doesn't really represent the book. Here's what the dust jacket looks like, but the actual hardcover itself is what really got me. This is what she looks like. How stinking cool is that? I'm gonna put this down here for now, and I'll like recap you at the end. All right. Next pick. Let's do this one. So we have 11 is our next pick. This one is a nice skinny one, which I'm very excited for, especially after our first pick, which I'm very nervous about. Again, I literally have no idea what this book is. It's a paperback. Okay, this cover is giving nothing away. Oh, it's got the French folds. What book is this? I've only purchased like 3 books total with this French fold, and I cannot for the life of me think of what this could be. Oh, that's why. So this is The Haunting of Hill House. Again, not really sure that I'm in the mood for something like this, but the reason this one felt super unfamiliar to me was because this is actually one of Kevin's books that he's been like wanting me to read for the longest time, and I think it's just about like a haunted house, I'm assuming. It says it's originally published in 1959. The Haunting of Hill House remains widely regarded as the greatest haunted house story ever written. 4 seekers have arrived at the rambling old pile known as Hill House. Dr. Montague, an occult scholar looking for evidence of psychic phenomena, Theodore, his lovely and lighthearted assistant, Luke, the adventurous future inheritor of the estate, and Eleanor, a friendless, fragile young woman with a dark past. As they begin to cope with chilling, even horrifying occurrences beyond their control or understanding, they cannot possibly know what lies ahead. For Hill House is gathering its powers, and soon it will choose one of them to make its own. Definitely sounds spooky. Okay, actually, I'm a little bit more excited about this one now. Pick number 3. Let's do this one. All right, number 20, this last one over here. We've got another hardcover. I'm gonna guess that I'm not gonna actually guess what any of these are. All right, let's see. Okay, I can kind of at my peripheral, I can see that it's like a light white or cream color. What do I have that's that color? Okay, so this is Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. And this one, I think is about like old women who like kill people. There's a quote at the top that says, "Older women often feel invisible, but sometimes that's their secret weapon." They've spent their lives as the deadliest assassins in a clandestine international organization, but now that they're 60 years old, 4 female friends can't just retire. It's kill or be killed in this action-packed thriller. I just read the rest of the synopsis, and essentially, basically, it's about 4 women, again in their 60s, that are kind of being forced to be retired because the skills that they use are kind of like old school and they're not appreciated. So they get an all-expenses-paid trip, but then realize that they've been marked by someone else in their company. So essentially, the leaders of their agency want them killed. This one does sound like it could be a lot of fun. Now let's go ahead and pick our 4th one. And we're gonna go for number 17. Ooh, number 17. Ooh, okay. This one is a little short guy compared to everybody else. We have another paperback. Let's unwrap this one and see what we've got. Ooh, what is this one? The cover feels different than your typical cover. So apparently April is going to be the month of books that Kevin wants me to read. This is Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, and this is actually a true crime novel about something that happened in Savannah, Georgia, which Kevin and I went to on vacation like years and years ago. It was a lot of fun, and Savannah in general has been like one of his favorite vacation places, so he bought this book for himself, read it, and really liked it and wanted me to read it as well. So not only now do we have these 2 books that Kevin wants me to read, but also I also already committed to reading Red Rising as well. I could totally do like a books my boyfriend chose for me video because that's like half my TBR at this point. I'm kind of thinking, especially because this is my birthday month, I don't really want a TBR full of books that I don't really feel like reading. Maybe I should repick for these 2. Also 2 that'll help whittle down this pile some more. So that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead and pick 2 right now. So we've got, let's do these 2. Okay, so we've got number 13 and number 7. So we have number 7, which is a nice little small paperback. Also, too, I don't mind redrawing just because I'm excited to like keep unwrapping more books. All right, so, ooh, this one has some texture on the cover. What is this? I'm not gonna guess any of these. Let me just look. Oh, so this actually fits perfectly with the vibe that I've been in at the moment. I totally forgot that this was in here. So we have the first book in the 50 Shades of Grey series. I thrifted this entire trilogy a long time ago for 25 cents a book. And I did actually already read this book like, I wanna say a decade ago. I was in my early 20s when I read this one. Yeah, I had checked it out from the library and I did actually really like it, but because it was super, super popular at the time, I couldn't get my hands on the second one. Like the waiting list was just humongous, and then eventually I just, you know, forgot about it. Until obviously I found them at the thrift store, and because this is such an old series, I just haven't really been tempted to read it. But that being said, I'm actually like extra intrigued to read this now because back in the day, I had never read anything even remotely similar to this, but now I read a lot of Spice and Smut. Like I said, I've basically read nothing but that for the past like 3 weeks straight. So I'm very intrigued and interested to see how this is gonna hold up now that I'm a smut reader. Now let's go ahead and do our other replacement book, which is lucky number 13. And this one is another hardcover. It has a very similar height to our book of the month book, so I'm gonna guess that this is another book of the month book. And one of the ones that I know for a fact is in this pile is The Wishing Game, or A Wishing Game, something like that. So I feel like that's gonna be my guess for what this book is. But let's actually find out. Yeah, I think this is the book of the month book. I'm gonna say A Wishing Game. I guessed one correctly. I'm actually really excited about this. It's kind of funny because I got this a while ago, obviously. I don't remember what month. Does it say on here? No. Oh, June. I got this in June of last year. The concept of this one did sound really interesting when I got it. Obviously, that's why I picked it. But I hadn't really heard anyone talking about it. But for whatever reason, specifically for March, I saw so many people put this on their March TBR. So People are finally starting to read this, and apparently I'm gonna be in the mix with them. Lucy Hart knows better than anyone what it's like to grow up without parents who loved her. Well, that's depressing already. In a childhood marked by neglect and loneliness, Lucy found her solace in books, namely the Clock Island series by Jack Matterson. Now a 26-year-old teacher's aide, Lucy is able to share her love of reading with bright young students, especially 7-year-old orphan Christopher Lamb. Lucy would give anything to adopt Christopher, but even the idea of becoming a family seems like an impossible dream without proper funds and stability. Just when Lucy is about to give up, Jack Masterson announces he's finally written a new book. Even better, he's holding a contest at his home on the real Clock Island, and Lucy is one of the 4 lucky contestants chosen to compete to win the one and only copy. There's a little bit more to the synopsis, but essentially this is kind of like giving me Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory vibes, but make it books, and it sounds like a fun time. Okay, so now we are down to our last and final pick. Let's go for this one. All right, number 8. We've got this one, and this one is a little bit of a thinner one, and it's a hardcover, a thin hardcover. I mean, I have no idea. I don't know why I keep trying to guess. I mean, I guessed the one, but only because it was a book of the month book. Let's open her up. Okay, I was hoping that was gonna be a more dramatic rip, but no. Got a dust jacket, no bumps. I have no idea what this could be. Ooh, okay. So this is The Gathering Dark, an anthology of folk horror. This is a book that I'm pretty sure that I purchased in 2022. And I meant to read it this past October, and I just never got around to it. Actually, I did read the first one, the first short story in this, and it was way creepier than I thought, because I'm pretty sure this was in the young adult section. And from what I've read so far, I don't think this should be young adult. It was way creepier. But each of the stories in this book are written by different authors. So we have Erica Waters, Chloe Gong, who wrote actually another book of the month book that I have, The Immortal Longing? Something like that. But that's another book of the month book that I think is actually wrapped in here somewhere. I've heard a lot of really good things about Chloe Gong, so I'm actually really excited that she's in here, and I bought this book before I even knew who she was, so that's kind of exciting. And then we have Tori Bovalino, Hannah Witten, Allison Saft, Olivia Shada, Courtney Gold, Aiden Polydoros, Alex Brown, and Shakira Toussaint. So if any of those authors are familiar to you, you might like this book. It says, feature stories from the New York Times best-selling and critically acclaimed authors, The Gathering Dark presents some of the most terrifying folklore tales. Also too, the main reason I got this book was because of the cover. The imagery on this is so cool. We've got some like creepy doll heads on the back. What does the actual hardcover look like? Nothing. But it does have like a little gold skull at the top if it'll ever focus. There we go. So here's a little stack of all of our blindly picked books. We've got an assortment. We've got Killers of a Certain Age, Lessons in Chemistry, The Wishing Game, The Gathering Dark, and then 50 Shades of Grey. We've got some horror, some spice, some historical fiction. We've got a little bit of everything, except for fantasy. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about this little stack of books, which is some more things that I'm hoping to add to this month's TBR. First off, like I mentioned earlier, I am in the middle of Haunting Adeline. I'm actually doing a reading vlog of this book, so stay tuned for that. And then again, like I mentioned earlier, I am already committed to not only Kevin, but also a friend. We're gonna be buddy reading Red Rising. And then speaking of books that I have committed to, I'm also going to be reading Throne of Glass. I know I have mentioned this and promised this so many times. I'm like embarrassed at this point. But for real, like I pinky promised you guys, I will be starting this book this month. And I do plan on actually like kicking that off with a 24 hours of reading to like really just get through as much of the series as possible in the shortest amount of time to kind of like make it up to you guys. And then another series that I would love to start is One Dark Window. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to, just because we are committing to quite a bit already, but I have heard so many good things about this book and this just like duology in general. I do have the second book as well, and I've actually heard recently that people like the second book even better than the first one, so I'm just really intrigued to read this. And then last but not least, for my April TBR, instead of starting a new series, we're actually going to be finishing one. This is the 6th book in the Brutal Birthrights series by Sophie Lark, and I have currently read through books 1 and 4, so I still have 5 and 6 to read. Reading the Chestnut Springs series and the Brutal Birthrights series has been so much fun. I've been slowly picking my way through them for months now, but I actually this past month just finished the Chestnut Springs series, very sadly, and I just feel like it's time to just wrap this one up as well. So it's the end of a reading era for me. Those are all of the books on my April TBR. Unwrapping these books was so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys are planning on reading in April. And yeah, I think that's everything that I have to say. I hope you guys have had the most amazing of days, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Bye. I meant to take a freaking thumbnail before I unwrapped a bunch of these books. Good grief.